Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we are discussing the reopening of United States embassies, and I'm going to make this video specific to Southeast Asia. I can't really speak to anything much out past the U.S. embassies. Mostly this is going to be about the U.S. Embassy here in Bangkok, Thailand, the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and the U.S. Embassy in Vientiane, Laos. We deal with those most frequently. I think some of the analysis is pretty relevant to the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines, the U.S. Embassy in Vietnam, the U.S. Embassy down in Malaysia, and the U.S. Embassy in Singapore. That being stated, understand U.S. embassies are an interesting animal when you analyze them from sort of a legal standpoint and as well as their sort of posture and standing within the overall American government apparatus. So sort of within the broad picture of the American government. They are rather autonomous. In a sense, they're almost like bases, military bases, but without necessarily the much more strict chain of command associated with a military. So yes, there certainly is a chain of command. There certainly is a structure. There certainly is a hierarchy associated with the embassies abroad and who they answer to back in the United States, specifically personnel at the U.S. Department of State. But in a sense, I've always kind of looked at, for example, the U.S. ambassador in Bangkok as kind of the mayor, if you will, of the embassy. The embassy is kind of like a town or a mid-sized city, and the ambassador is sort of the mayor, and everybody else sort of, has a position from that sort of standpoint, looking sort of downward the pyramid, if you want to look at it like that. So understand, as we preface this video, each embassy is going to reopen when and if they deem necessary. So they're given a great deal of latitude to make decisions based on the situation on the ground in their given country. So, what's going on, for example, in this COVID-19 situation, what's going on the ground here in Thailand is going to pretty heavily, if not dictate, but it's definitely going to influence the decisions that the embassy is going to make with respect to reopening. I think we can presume that. So for example, the situation may be decidedly different here in Thailand than it is, for example, in Singapore. It may be decidedly different than it is in a country, or up in Taiwan, for example, or perhaps New Zealand. Those countries, we could see those embassies reopen in rather short order because it seems that the COVID-19 issue has been rather put to bed because of measures taken, and their geography as well, I think, played into that. But, here in Thailand, up in Cambodia and Laos, I think we're probably going to see the embassies reopen. I hesitate to say soon, and let me be clear, I have no idea exactly when they will reopen, but currently USCIS is saying they're staying closed until June the 4th as of the time of this video. And when I say closed, they're closed to person-to-person interaction. The certain aspects, certain functions of the apparatus will be operational. And as I've made videos on this topic, it's still possible to file cases for immigrant visas, non-immigrant visas. It's still possible to file visa cases. It is not possible to deal with anybody personally with respect to a case, or at least it's not possible in the vast majority of situations to deal with USCIS. I think that June 4th date is a pretty good rule of thumb. That's where I'm going to be looking in earnest with respect to the prospect of the U.S. Embassy here in Bangkok or over in Phnom Penh or up in Vientiane reopening. I think that's a good rule of thumb to maintain at this point. If that changes sooner than June 4th, I'll do another video pretty shortly thereafter and try and get people updated. But for now, I think June 4th is the date to be presumptively looking at, unless something on the ground is different and we may not necessarily see things reopen quite that quickly if in fact the embassy here deems it's not appropriate to do so prior to that date.